According to a new report by Human Rights Watch, Venezuelan soldiers cooperated with Colombian terrorist group ELN in different operations in the border state of Apure earlier this year. This is extremely delicate because we need to remember that just as we informed in a previous episode on this channel, in January, a truce ended between the ELN and the Comando del Este, leading to an extremely violent clash between both terrorist groups, which ended in murders and the abduction of a lot of civilians and forced nearly 4,000 people to flee their homes in the Venezuelan border state of Apure. Human Rights Watch said in the report that humanitarian workers and refugees from Apure told members of this organization of Human Rights Watch that they witnessed how different members of the Venezuelan National Guard entered villages with members of the ELN and took people away in trucks. This is extremely delicate because we're talking about an unspeakable act against innocent and civilian, an act that is always committed by this terrorist group or by this type of terrorist group. We need to remember that ELN is originally a Marxist Colombian guerrilla, and these types of operation has always been part of their MO, of their modus operandi. So the fact that Venezuelan soldiers cooperating in this type of operation is extremely delicate. It's extremely delicate. So, I mean, in fact, the reports by Human Rights Watch also explain that witnesses also confess, also reveal that the people who were taken away from their houses were accused not only by the ELN but also by the Venezuelan soldiers of collaborating with the Comando del Este, which is essentially the same thing as putting a price on their head. This is inhumane in every single manner. So it is important to point out that these reports fully confirms the claim of Colombia Defense Minister Diego Molano, who said in February, just as we inform you here on Newsweek, that the Venezuelan armed forces were collaborating with the ELN in this violent situation that was taking place in the border state of Venezuela's Apure and in the border state of Colombia's Arauca. On that moment, Diego Molano claimed that the Venezuelan army formed an alliance with the ELN in order to eliminate the Comando del Este from the area, given the fact that the Comando del Este was competing with their drug routes. So, on the first hand, it is important to remember that the Comando del Este is nothing more than a faction of the demobilized FARC terrorist group that decided not to sign the peace accord. And on the other hand, we need to remember that the Venezuelan government is a narco government. The Venezuelan government is fully involved in drug trafficking. In fact, the State Department formally accused the Venezuelan regime of narco-terrorism, to the point where the State Department literally put a price on the head of dictator Nicolas Maduro and many other prominent members of the Venezuelan socialist regime. So this situation of the Venezuelan regime getting involved in drug trafficking has a lot of years. In fact, it started during the years of former dictator Hugo Chavez. And from that moment, the Venezuelan regime established an alliance with this Colombian Marxist terrorist group FARC and ELN. So on this situation, the Venezuelan regime is using the ELN as a significant ally that can provide not only protection but also a lot of information and of course a lot of experience in these types of narco operations. And we need to remember that the main drug routes in Venezuela are located specifically in this border state of Apure. So unfortunately, the fact that the Venezuelan regime decided to establish an ally with the ELN, and between both of them fight the Comando del Este in order to protect their drug routes, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense for the drug trafficking mindset, for the mindset of a criminal, just as the ELN and the Venezuelan regime. So we are looking nothing more than a war between thugs, a war between a bunch of narcos, because that's who they are, a bunch of narcos. However, it is incredible to see how Venezuela has fell into a downward spiral in which what used to be the richest country in Latin America, the most solid and strong democracy in Latin America, has turned not only in the poorest country of this region, but also in a narco state. Reporting from Medellin, Colombia, Luis Orozco, Newsweek.